Hey, hello all. In this session, we are going to see about network security group. So network security group is nothing but a network resource in Azure, which can be used to filter the inbound and outbound traffic to a virtual network. So what is inbound and what is outbound traffic? So any data that flows into the Azure cloud from an internet or a data premise, it is called inbound traffic. Likewise, any traffic or any data flow that happens from Azure cloud to a on-premise data center or to an internet device is called outbound traffic. Okay. So this NSG can be created in two levels: one in the subnet level, two in the virtual machine level. So let's see this diagram for a reference. If you see here, we have a virtual network and you have two subnets. In the subnet one, you have two virtual machines, VM1 and VM2. And if we create a NSG, this NSG we will create always, as I said, in between an internet and this virtual network, or a on-premise data center and this virtual network in the cloud. Okay. So let's say we create this NSG here and we associate it to the subnet with certain rules. So what will happen? Whatever the rules that we are creating it in this NSG, it will get inherited to both these VMs, which is under this subnet. Okay. So because this NSG is created and associated to the subnet, so what will happen? All the devices, all the resources within this subnet, right? It will get the rules inherited from this NSG. Okay. So as I said, we also can create NSG directly in the virtual machine level also. When I say virtual machine level, there is something called network interface in the virtual machine. We can create this NSG and attach it to the network interface also. So let's say we have an NSG created in the subnet level and we are allowing a particular rule. Let's say the rule is to allow a particular device in the public to connect to this VM. And let's say we are creating this new NSG in the virtual machine level, right? There we are creating another rule which says to deny that particular IP address. So what will happen? This is a conflict, right? This NSG says that this device can access this subnet, but the NSG that we create in the VM, that is in the network interface level, there we are saying don't allow, that is deny this particular IP address. So there is a conflict. So what will happen? In this case, the NSG that gets created in the network interface level or in the VM level will take the higher precedence. Okay. So that network traffic will be blocked. Okay. So now let's see the steps which we are going to follow as part of this demo. Okay, as you can see here, the steps are: first we'll be creating a virtual network along with a subnet, and in that subnet we'll be creating two virtual machines, and we'll be disabling the RDP. RDP is nothing but remote desktop connectivity that uses the port 3389. By default, right, all the virtual machines while getting created will have this RDP enabled, but we are going to disable this because we want to achieve this through using the NSG. Okay. So then I'm going to create an NSG and I'm going to add a rule in the NSG to say allow RDP 3389. Okay. And I will be attaching this NSG to the subnet. So what will happen? The two VMs, VM1 and VM2, which we created and added it to the subnet, those two will get this rule inherited basically. Yeah. Then I'll be checking after this NSG if I'm able to access the VM. I should be able to. Okay. Now just to show the difference, how the NSG that gets created in the VM level gets higher precedence, I'm going to create another NSG and attach it to the network interface of the VM. And in that, I'm going to add a rule to say deny this RDP 3389 connectivity to one of the VM. So what will happen now? The VM which was working in the first place, now the connectivity won't work, because as I said, the NSG that gets created in the network interface or the VM level takes higher precedence. Okay. Let's go to the portal and start with the demo. Okay, so I'm going to use, there are two resource groups. I'm going to use this dev RG1 for my demo purpose. Okay, so first step is to create a virtual network and a subnet. Okay, virtual networks. Okay, so this is an existing VNET. So I'm going to freshly create a new new virtual network for demo purpose. So I'm going to name this as maybe, sorry, resource group. I should choose existing one, dev RG1. So this I'm going to name it as IT VNET 1. Okay, region I'm working with rest US3. Next IP address. I'm deleting this one because I'm going to choose my own IP address range. So let's say I'm going to stick to 10.10.0.0/16. Okay, so I'm going to add a subnet 10 subnet name. Sorry, yeah. So I'm going to say as IT-SNet. So this is going to be used for VM allocation, right? So I'm going to give -VM address range 10.10.0.0/24. Okay, add this. So next, security. I'm not going to change anything there. Just keep doing next. Okay, it is running the validation. Create. Okay, let this get deployed in the backend. Meanwhile, let me open another tab to start my VM creation. Going here, going to resource groups, selecting my resource group where I want to create my VM. Create. Search for virtual machine. Okay, so create. Okay, create. I'm going to give a name here, IT-VM1. Okay, region I'm choosing same, West US3. Image is nothing but the operating system. I'm going to choose Windows Server 2016. I have to set up an initial ID password. Okay, here it says allow selected ports. So I'm going to say none, because this is the one which will enable you to connect using remote desktop connectivity. So by default, right, whenever we create a virtual machine, by default this will be in enabled state. I'm going to disable this because I wanted to configure and achieve this using NSG. So I'm giving it as none here. So next, disks. I'm fine with all this. Okay, networking. So you have two virtual networks. So I want to use this IT-VNET 1. I'm choosing that. Subnets, since it has only one subnet, it has picked it by default. I'm fine with that. So this is, you see here, right? There is something called NIC Network Security Group. This is nothing but Network Interface Network Security Group. So this is the one I talked about. So I said, right, there is a NSG that gets created and attached to the virtual machine itself directly. So that's what it is. But to start with, I'm going to give this none, because my idea is to create a NSG and apply it or associate it at the subnet level, so that those rules gets inherited to both the VMs. Okay. So to start with, I'm giving none here. Okay. Management. I'm disabling diagnostics. Review create. Okay, it's running its final validation. Okay, create. So let this virtual machine getting deployed. Let me go to the other tab, so I can create the second virtual machine. Okay, so as you know, you can create virtual machine either from the resource group and go to the marketplace and create it, which I did in the last step, or you can create it in this way also. This way sounds more friendly. So I'm going to search. If you're first time using it, you have to search here for virtual machines. So you'll find the service virtual machine. Just click it and create it. Okay, resource group is dev-rg1. Virtual machine name, I'm going to name it as IT-VM2. So this US3, I'm fine. Security type standard. Yeah, I'm fine with this OS. I'm fine with this CPU and RAM configuration also. Okay, going to set up my initial username password. Okay, here also I'm going to disable the RDP port. Next disks. I'm fine with this. So networking, here also I'm going to use the same virtual network, IT VNET1, in the same subnet. So here also I'm going to disable my NIC NSG, that is network interface network security group. I'm going to disable this. Next, management, disable the diagnostics, boot diagnostics, advanced tags, review create. It's running its validation. Okay, let me create. Now let me go to the other tab. So this VM deployment is still in progress. Okay. Okay, successful. Okay, so this has just got completed. Now let's go to the resource group and see what all we have created so far. So I'm going to our resource group, dev-rg1, which we used for this demo. Okay, so in this, if you see here, okay, if you see here, we have created this VM1, and then we have this virtual network with default. The disk also has got created. Although we have given none, right? Yeah, default network interface would have got created, but it will not be active basically. Okay, right. So now what we are going to do? Okay, let's wait for the VM2 creation. Let's submit. Okay. Okay, deployment succeeded. Okay, VM2 also has got created. Now I'm going to do my resource group again and refresh. So you will find two VMs. Yeah, okay, so we have IT VM1 and IT VM2. Okay, now what is my next step? Let me go to the PowerPoint just to see what steps we have covered. We have created a virtual network. We have created two virtual machines with remote desktop connectivity disabled. Now the next step is we have to create a network security group. Okay, I'm going to do that now. So again, we have to search here for network security group. Okay, I'm going to create a new network security group and associate this to the subnet level. So I'm choosing the resource group dev-rg1. Name I'm going to give it as NS. I'm going to give it this IT-NSG-subnet. Okay, region is West US3. Fine. Creating it. Okay, it will take a few seconds only, not much time. Okay, so deployment is completed. Okay, so the next step is we have created the subnet. We have to we have created this network security group. We have to associate this to the subnet of those two VMs, correct? So I'm going to click on this, go to resource. Then here you see something option called subnets. You have to click on this associate. and first you have to select which virtual network you want to. This is the one I want to, right? ITVNet 1. Okay, so selecting this subnet, and I'm giving okay. Okay, so the association of NSG to the subnet is done. Now, if you see here, there are some rules, inbound security rules and outbound security rules. So by default, right, there will be some default rules. So these rules are default, like are created by default. If you see the main thing here, there is one called deny all inbound. So by default, whenever you create any firewall, any network security group, anything in Azure cloud, right, Azure will try to create that in a secured way. So it by default it has denied all the inbound. So it lets us or lets the users to choose which device you want to allow to connect. That's why here, if you see, it has been created as deny all inbound. So you won't be able to delete this also. These are like built-in inbound rules, and same way you have some built-in outbound security rules also. You see here, by default, it has been created as deny all outbound. So it lets us pick which devices or which data centers you want this cloud to be able to connect to. That's the reason it is coming as deny. So these are all like default things, right? Now, what I want to do is I want to create a NSG rule so I can use, so I can remote connect to my one of the VMs or both the VMs basically. So I have to add a rule here. So I'm going to add a rule here. So here's something that is called priority. So what is priority? It is nothing but the priority will start from, I think, 100 and it will go on till the 65,500. So whenever the priority is less, right, it will take higher precedence. It's you can it's like if there is like okay, if there are, let's say there are two NSG rules, one with the priority 500 and another one with the priority 200. So in that case, what will happen? The rule which has the priority 200 will take higher precedence, and that will be the effective rule. The other rule 300 will not be active because the priority with a lesser number will have the higher precedence. Okay, yeah. So here I'm going to create a new inbound security rule. My rule is to say any device or my laptop, I should be able to connect to this VM. So that's what I'm going to define here. So source, I can even give the IP address and give my laptop's IP address, but I'm just going to stick to any here. Any source port range. It depends on the client's port which you're going to connect in the real time, right? You will specify a certain defined port, so only that machine with that port can connect. But in this case, for demo purpose, I'm just going to stick to star. Destination also I'm going to give us any. Service also I'm just going with okay, service. Let me see if I can find this RDP. Okay, service, let it be custom. That shouldn't be an issue. This is the important thing, destination port. So what is the port? So we want to connect to the RDP port, right? So which is 3389. So protocol, anything is fine, but let me just choose TCP because it's based on TCP connectivity. Action, it is to allow this. So 100 is the lowest priority. So I'm just going to give maybe say 400 here. This rule is allow RDP 3389 connectivity. This is the rule name. I'm giving it here, add. So this is creating a security rule. Okay. So now this rule has been created. So now if I try to access the virtual machine, right, I should be able to access it now. Let me do that. Not a stop connection. First, let me go and pick that IP address. So I'm going to home. Okay, resource groups. Resource group used for the demo. Let's say we'll try to connect to this VM1. Okay, I'm going to take this public IP address. and connect from my laptop. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I have to give my user ID, which I created initially during VM creation, isn't it? So I'm giving the user ID here. Connect. Okay, so I'm giving the password. Okay, so I'm able to connect now. So now, okay, so I'm able to connect now. So it's fine. So it will load. Let me close this. Now what I'm going to show is I'm going to create another network security group. Okay. So that is to say, do not, that is to say, deny this RDP rule. Let's do that. So let's go to search again and search for network security group. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to create a new network security group. Create. The name I'm going to give us NSG IT -NSG. So this is going to be in the network interface level, right? Or the VM. So the VM is nothing but it has this network interface. So we'll be creating this NSG and attached to that network interface inside the VM. Okay. So that's why I'm giving the name as IT NSG NIC. Okay. So review create. Create. Okay, so deployment is in progress. Okay, deployment has completed. So now what we should do, we should associate this NSG first with any of the VM. Let's say we'll associate this with VM1. Okay, so to do that, what I'm going to do now, first let me go to this virtual machine. So this IT VM1 VM2, these two are the ones which we're using as part of our demo, right? So I'm going here to VM1, and if I go to networking, I'll be finding this network interface. Yeah, ITVM 699. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, network security group, it is saying none. I'm going to attach this NSG NIC. I'm going to save this. So again, what I have done here is I'm going into the particular network interface of the virtual machine, which I want to apply this deny rule. I'm going to that. I'm selecting this network security group. By default, it had this none. Now I have linked this to my newly created network security group, right? So one last step is there. We'll have to include a new rule in the NSG to deny the traffic, isn't it? So I'm going to maybe again home, again resource groups, dev rg1. So I'm going to click on this network security group. Okay, so here also you find certain set of rules, right? I'm going to include a new rule here. Again, it's an inbound rule because you want to block the inbound traffic here, correct? So I'm going to click on this inbound security rule, add a rule. Okay, so I'm going to say this VM shouldn't be accessible by any source. So any source port, destination, let it be any, service also can be custom. This is the important thing. I'm going to give it as 3389. So this is a port which should be blocked. So I'm going to give any, that's fine. I'm going to deny the traffic here. Do you remember last time the priority we gave us 400, right? And I told you, but anyway, in this case, even though both are different. Whatever the NSG that is created in the NIC gets the higher priority. So I'll show you here. Let me create this as 200. Sorry, 200. Okay, so deny traffic. I'm going to add. Okay, so rule name I should have modified. I didn't give. Let me modify this rule name for a better understanding. Okay, so this new rule name got added. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me just delete this and create this rule again. It's always good to have a proper naming convention, so it will be easier for the development team as well as any other team, to understand that. Okay, I'm going to add this same rule again, just because the naming was not defined properly, and I'm recreating this. Okay, so source any port star destination any service custom is fine. So this port is important, 3389. Protocol can also be any, and the action is important, deny. So I'm going to give this priority here as anything like 400 maybe. This rule I'm going to say as deny RDP 3389. I'm adding this rule. So now the security rule is getting created. So what we have done, we have created a new network security group and associated it to the virtual machine 1. So now let me see if I'm able to connect to the virtual machine. This is IT VM1, right? So let me just take the IP address here. Okay, this copy doesn't work properly. Show options. I'm going to give my username. Yeah, because we have set a rule to deny this RDP traffic, right? So it is not working. You see here, it is not able to identify or find this particular VM. Okay, so that's how this network security group works. So when you create a NSG in the subnet level to allow a particular traffic, but whatever the NSG you create in the virtual machine level, right, that will take the higher precedence, because you have set this NSG rule in the virtual machine level to deny this traffic, isn't it? That's why we are not able to connect now. Okay, let me close this and let me show you one more thing. I was speaking about this priority, right? I want to show you about this priority. So I'm going to this newly created network security group. Okay, right. Here you see here, there is the rule with priority 400, which says deny this connection. But now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add one more inbound security rule with a lesser priority. I mean, when I say lesser priority, the priority number will be lesser. I'm going to say add. This is all fine. This is important. 3389. Protocol is fine. Action. Now I'm going to say to allow this traffic. And the priority, I'm going to give it as 399. Okay. And I'm creating this. Okay, this rule name I haven't given properly. Okay, that's fine. So the idea is here we are creating a rule to allow this RDP traffic. Okay, so the rule has got created. Now I'm going to try to remote connect to that virtual machine again. So do you remember previously it didn't work? So now let's see what happens. Again, I'm going to just copy the IP address here. Okay, I copied the IP address. Remote desktop connection. Okay. Show options. Give the user ID. Connect. Okay, see here. Now it immediately connects. Okay, let me just give the password. Okay, so what it implies is whenever you are going to define a new priority rule, sorry, a new rule with a lesser priority number. Sorry, I'm in, I'm in a wrong NSG. Let me show you that NIC go to the network interface NSG here. Okay, so if you see here, okay, what it implies is I had denied this traffic using a priority 400. Okay, but after that I had created another rule to allow the traffic. Okay, see this rule. This is to deny this traffic, and this rule is to allow the traffic. Okay, so what happens? Whichever rule that gets created with a lesser priority number, right, that takes higher precedence. If you see here, this rule also has been created to allow the traffic, so this overrides this priority. So that's how this NSG works. Okay, so now I'm able to connect to the virtual machine. Okay, so hope you would have got some idea about the NSG and how NSG can be configured in the subnet level as well as in the virtual machine level. When I say in the virtual machine level, it is configured in the network interface. Okay, hope you were able to get some knowledge about the NSG and how it can be configured. Thank you guys. Thank you.